seeing the bigger picture. So it's just crucial for us to understand a few different particles of existence. One particle is that this reality will always go on. It will always manifest within an existence of possibility. And when I'm referring to this reality, I'm talking us as spiritual beings. The reality which we are witnessing right now is only a representation of imagination. We are manifesting this existence within this present moment of time through manifestation of existence. We are essentially the signal which is being channeled from the radio tower to the TV. Now, it's so crucial to comprehend some basic principles of this analogy, is that the radio tower itself is the divine conductor. It's the divine channel, the divine spiritual enlightened frequency which has admitted consciousness for manifestation. And that's what's so important to understand, is that the radio tower itself is the divine, you could say, whatever you want to call it, the spiritual entity or the spiritual truth which is admitting existence to be manifested. Now, this is where we must now take that and understand we as individual existence is essentially for example, when you're going through a tunnel or you're going through a car park and you're only getting spurts of signal, you're hearing the radio channel go on, off, on, off, on, off. You can almost look at every single tiny micro particle within time, individual separate entities of signaling is what we are. We are essentially the unique individual speeds of sound which are being passed through the radio tower and the TV. And what we're doing is that we're actually, through this reality, we're making our way back to the signal. We're making our way back to the radio tower. And we're each as individually connecting together through, as the more we get closer to the radio tower, the more we connect together and create that stronger channel. The more we get together and start to link a form of true signal, which we can then work as a unit, as a divine awareness to make our way back to source itself. Because what we see is that the more we go away, or the more we go deeper into the tunnel, the more we separate from that signal. Eventually, we can't hear anything. Eventually, we can't hear absolutely anything. We go so dense into the where we stop hearing anything. And all we do is actually we start creating the image of the TV. Because when you're watching the TV, you don't hear the channel. You don't hear, when you're in the tunnel, you don't hear the signal. You don't hear the tuning of the radio. You stop hearing anything. And ultimately what we're doing is that if we want to create more of a spiritual connection, we must unify within the higher dimensions of consciousness. And the way we do that is that we look within ourselves and we start to question and ask truthful facts within ourselves, such as, what are we doing here truthfully? What are we doing to move forward within the enlightenment of the heart? How are we awakening to our hearts? How are we serving our hearts? How are we loving our hearts? Because what the heart is the heart is the conductor. The heart is the radio tower. And our minds are the TV. And as long as we're listening to our hearts, we're forming the connection back to our hearts. If we're only listening to our minds, we're only watching the TV through our eyes. The more we connect back to our hearts, the more we form the connection internally to infinity. And as long as we're listening to our minds, we learn to work our way out of our heart space, and eventually we won't listen to our hearts at all. We'll only listen to our minds, and we can get lost down that path.